Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Quiz Analysis for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 10th Feb today, and in this video we are going to solve some important questions which are very much relevant for your preparation. But before we'll start our discussion, I would like to give the brief introduction about our initiative so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. Basically in this video, we'll try to discuss three types of questions. And those three types of questions are taken from three different sources. So depending upon the sources, the first type of questions which we are going to discuss here are taken from the current affairs. This part, the most questions which we are going to discuss here would be taken from the current affairs, to be more precise. In this part, what we will do, we'll try to take up the most important articles from the newspapers. We'll try to break them down into the simplest language possible, and we will try to derive the possible prelims questions from those particular articles, so that it will give you the idea which part of the newspaper is important for your preparation, what should be your approach, and what type of questions you can expect from those particular topics. This is what we are going to do in the first part of our discussion. After solving questions with respect to current affairs, we will try to shift to our approach towards the another part of our discussion, where we will discuss the questions with respect to static topics. What here we will do, we will take up the static topic, we will discuss that and try to derive the possible question which can be formed from that particular topic. With respect to this part, currently we are discussing the Indian polity, and in Indian polity we are discussing the office of the president, and under office of the president we are discussing the legislative powers of the president. So today we are going to discuss few legislative powers of the president and try to derive a possible question on that. After solving questions with respect to static part and the current affairs part, we will shift our approach to the last part of our discussion, where we will solve some previous year questions. To me this is the most important part, because in this part we will learn what is the vocabulary used by the UPSC, what are the different trends they follow when they frame the papers, and we will also learn what are the different techniques. Suppose if we don't have the proper answer of the question, what can be the different techniques which we can apply in the exam and solve the question. And we will also try to learn how we can implement this knowledge which we get from these questions in the upcoming exam. So this is in a nutshell what we are going to do in this video. Now before we will start our discussion, I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel. When you subscribe, it helps the channel grow and it motivates us to work more hard on such topics for you guys. Please do share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative if you are getting. And please do write in the comments what else should we bring for you guys. Now with this, let's have a look at the first question as we had brought it on the screen. The question is about the Amrit Bharat Station redevelopment project. So you may ask me here, sir, why we had brought this question. What was the need of bringing this question here about Amrit Bharat Station redevelopment project? There was no specific article written about it. Why we had brought it? Guys, from the day the budget was placed tabled in the parliament, we had discussed every aspect of that. We had tried to discuss every aspect of that budget. But one thing which we did not discuss was the railways. The allocations to the railways, we did not discuss it. So today we are going to have some understanding about it by taking the article from the newspaper, which basically gave us aspects of the budget which was meant for the railways, how good it could be, and what are some negative outcomes of the budget. Basically this article itself is written by a member who is the leader in the Vande Bharat mission. So this article becomes important for us, which was in the newspaper. Now let's dig deep into that article. What does the author here wants us to what does the author wants the government should do, and what we can take from that article. Let's first understand that part. About railways, you would had if you would had followed the current affairs, or if you are preparing for your UPSC, you would very much be aware of that. Railway budget used to come 2 to 3 days before the main budget, before 2017, when these two budgets were not merged together. The railways budget would come 2 to 3 days before the main budget. So after 2017, these two has been merged together. So now here we will understand one thing about the railways budget. There was no specific discussion over it in the budget session. There was no specific discussion over it, but definitely there were allocations to the railways. The allocations, as usual, there were definitely allocations which are enough for the railways. And also the Ministry of Railways had discussed about the various projects which they are going for, what are the outcomes, the money which they had got under this year's budget, what they are going to do. So with respect to that, let's first understand what are the positives of this year's budget, what they are going to do, what they are trying to achieve. For example, the main focus would be on infrastructure development. It would be the main focus. Modernization of the railways, this would be more main focus. And also the Vande Bharat mission, focus would be on Vande Bharat mission. These things, these three: modernization, infrastructure, Vande Bharat mission, it would be the main focus of this year's budget. And also, if we see the achievements under after merging the railway budget with the main budget, what are the different achievements we had seen? If we will compare it to 2014, how many railway tracks were there, how many has been increased. In 2014 there were approximately, we could say, 113 railway tracks were added, and till 2000 till present time, more 150 railways had been added more. So definitely there is some improvement in the railway connection, there is improvement between the cities. There is focus is on the infrastructure, focus is on the modernization, focus is on the speed of the railways. But the author here says, he highlights that, and also one of the major focus is on the electrification of the railways, that the Ministry of Railways, the government is trying to have the 100% electrification of the 100% electrification of the railways. So these are few positives which we could take from the discussion from the budget which was there by the Ministry of Railways. And also what the author here tries his best to make us understand these things. But here the author also highlighted few of the negatives of this budget, few of the negatives which with respect to the railway budget. For example, what are the negatives? We had There has been no mention of the coverage coverage. In this year's budget there has been no mention of the coverage coverage, which should have been the primary focus of the government. The coverage coverage, which helps in the protecting, which helps in the protection against accidents. So there was no definite mention about the coverage system, which should be the main focus of the government. Another thing, this scheme, for example, Amrit Bharat Station Redevelopment Project, the author also talks about this scheme, that the allocations, even though we are trying our best under this project to, to redevelop the many railway stations, but we are redeveloping those railway stations which we have very low traffic. What about if we talk about the New Delhi railway station? There is no redevelopment. So the author says the concern the author here raises, that the focus of the government right now is not on those railway stations where there is more crowd, which are more crowded, but they are just trying to divert the attention, divert the money to those railway stations, to redevelop those railway stations which are less crowded. So this is also one of the issue he raises. And then also he raises about the electrification, as the budget talks about, as Ministry of Railway, he talked about the 100% electrification of the railways. So he raises a question here, that currently we have approximately 5,000 diesel locomotives. So what will happen to these diesel locomotives once we will go for the electrification? Then second thing he talks about, even though we will go for the electrification, Ministry of Railways talks about we would be the greenest railway in the world. We would be the greenest railway. But where from we will get this electrification? Where from we will get this electricity which we will use in the railways? We will definitely get it from the thermal power plants. So would we be really the greenest railway of the world? Is it so? As we are consuming the fossil fuels there, would it really serve our purpose? So these are few issues which the author here raises, and it became important for us to have this understanding. A question about mains could be asked about the recent developments with respect to railways, how the budget allocations are really impacting the development of the railways. And also, as there was mentioned about the Amrit Bharat Station redevelopment project, it becomes important for our prelims exam to have the basic understanding about this project. So with this, I hope you had got the basic understanding about the budgetary allocations, how it is, what are the positive points associated with it, what are the negative points associated with it. Now with this, let's try our best to solve this question here. Here the question says, with reference to the Amrit Bharat Station Redevelopment Project, consider the following statement. First statement, the project aims to modernize railway stations across India by providing improved passenger amenities, better connectivity, and enhanced aesthetics. 100% correct. This is the primary purpose of this. Second, the project focuses on developing railway stations as city centers by integrating them with the surrounding urban areas and promoting multimodal integration. 100% correct. There is nothing wrong, which we can see in this statement too. Third statement, the project involves the construction of new railway stations. Totally incorrect. It does not focus on the construction of new railway stations, but what does it focus on? To overhaul the existing railways. So third statement is incorrect. So with this, what would be the correct answer to this question? The correct answer would be option A, that is 1 and 2 only. With this, I hope you had got the basic understanding about the Amrit Bharat station redevelopment project, and also you had got the basic idea about the budgetary allocations. How does budget treat the railways this year? With this, let's move to the another question, another slide. Let's see what else we had brought for you guys there. Now with this, let's move to the another question. As you are seeing here on the screen, the question is about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. And you may ask me the same question here, sir, why we had brought this question, as there was no clear article which was discussing this scheme, the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. Why we had brought this? To answer this question, I would like to take you little deep into the news article which was in the newspaper today, which basically talked about the budgetary allocations to the urban development, budgetary allocation for the urban development. You know, if we talk about the budgetary allocation from the cities, if we talk about the contribution of the budget from the cities, it is approximately 67% of India's budget is coming from the cities. So huge amount of budget is coming from the cities. So what does it signify? It signifies that the focus should be cities too. Focus should be the urban development too. But here there is a concern. What is the concern? That we will understand by going into the discussion which was in today's newspaper. The author here says that the allocations which was given for the urban development is approximately 96,700 something, 96,786 crore rupees. It is the allocation for the urban development. But here is a concern which the author raises. If we compare it with the last year's budget, what was the last year's budgetary allocation for this? It has been found out it has been 82,576 crore. So if we look at the numbers, definitely there has been the increase. But if we will adjust it with the inflation, then the numbers has decreased. The real GDP, which was the real money which was allocated, if we will adjust it with the inflation, the allocations had been decreased. And also there is another thing which you need to know. It is revised estimates. And if we look at the revised estimates of the last year's budget, out of these 82,716 crore, only how much money was spent? Only 63,000 crore rupees were spent. 63,000 something were spent. So what does it show? It shows that approximately 22% of the budget which was allocated for the urban development was not spent properly, And what could be the reasons that this much amount of the money was not spent? There could be different reasons. For example, either we are highly developed, which cannot be the case here with respect to India. Second, the political will is not there. The political will is definitely not there. Third, they don't know how to spend. So these can be the issues. These can be the reasons why this much amount, the allocated budget, as we are seeing in the last year's budget, was 82,000 something crore rupees, but this was not spent. All the money was not allocated to the different schemes. So only, approximately 22% of the budget which was allocated was not spent. And what could be the reasons? As we discussed here, there could be the lack of political will, there could be they don't know how to spend it. So definitely there has been the cut, there has been the cut of money. Few projects which are under development, money was not allocated to them. Few schemes which are under development, money was not allocated to them. So we need to understand what are those, what are those schemes, or we need to understand what are those bodies for which the money was not allocated. So here comes another important term which you should know, that here we need to understand, when there is budgetary allocation, how this budgetary allocation is divided when it goes for the urban development, how this budget is allocated. Usually the budget is allocated into three different ways. What are these three ways? First way, for the urban local bodies, what is the budget allocated? Second, for the center sectors, central sector schemes. And third, second is central sponsored scheme. Then the third is central sector scheme. So these are the three ways in which this budget is allocated. So with respect to the urban India, with respect to the urban development, if we will analyze, and if we will analyze the author here, and also analyze the way the spending had been happened, the way there had been the cuts, we will clearly find out that for the local bodies, for the urban local bodies, there are huge cuts for them. The money which was required for them, that money was not allocated to them. So definitely this is one of the negative which the author here highlights, that the autonomy of the urban local bodies has been diluted. Because of that, they are not able to generate the taxes after GST. So if they are not getting the enough money under the schemes, then how will they work? So definitely there was huge cut for the urban local bodies, also huge cut for the central sector, centrally sponsored schemes. So there was definitely cut in this, but money was allocated. The most of the money under this budget was allocated to the central sector schemes. So this is the only positive which the author here highlights. So here what author wants us to convey, that even though the projects are there, even though the allocations are there, but the money is there, the budget is providing the money, but all the money is not spent. There is definitely the lack of political will, there is definitely that they don't understand where to spend. So this is what the government has to look after. If they are providing the money, this money should be utilized properly. So with this, I hope you had understood the little structure of the money allocated for this urban development, and how it is allocated. And we also understood through this discussion what were the major parts where there was money deduction. So with this, let's talk about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. This comes under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. This is a central sponsored scheme, and unfortunately under this scheme there was huge deduction too. That's why we had brought this question here. So let's discuss the question, and let's understand more about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, as it became important for our prelims, as its mention was in the news article. So it became important for us. Let's discuss this question. Here the question says, with reference to Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, consider the following statements. First statement, the scheme aims to provide affordable housing to all urban residents by 2022. No, it was earlier 2022, but it has been extended. So first statement is incorrect. Second statement, the scheme has four main components: to slum redevelopment, credit linked subsidy schemes, affordable housing in partnership, and beneficiary led construction. 100% correct. As we said earlier, it is the centrally sponsored scheme, and definitely there was cut in this scheme. That's why we are discussing it. Third, the credit linked subsidy schemes component provides interest subsidies on home loans to eligible beneficiaries belonging to economically weaker sections, low income groups, and middle income groups. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, what are the correct options? Correct options are option 2 and option 3. Why we are discussing this question? Let me recap it again. We are discussing it because there was definitely huge cut under this scheme. It has not provided to its potential, and also we discussed it for the funds for the budgetary allocation for the urban development, as urban, usually cities are the major contributors of our budget, but still we are not able to achieve what we should have achieved, what is the promise, even though the budget is there, but the will is not there to spend that. We are not spending the full amount which is provided, and also the cuts are definitely visible under the local bodies. Local bodies are not provided enough money, and also they are not able to generate the taxes. And second important cuts we are seeing at the centrally sponsored schemes. So that is why we had discussed this question here. With this, I hope you had understood the concept, also the question. Now with this, let's move to the third question and see what we had brought there. Now here, as you see, the question is about the AI Action Summit. So about AI Action Summit, why we are discussing this question? Because this year's AI Action Summit is going to be held in Paris, and France has invited India to co-chair it. So with respect to this, the author highlights here that India should highlight few things under this AI summit which can be very much important for India as well as global south. What are those few things? First one, India should highlight the democratization of the AI, that it should be accessible to everybody. There should be no discrimination on the basis of developed or underdeveloped country. The technology should be available to everybody, services should be available to everybody. So decentralization or democratization of the AI should be there. Second thing which the author here highlights is that the focus of the AI framework, it should be with respect to the global south. In global south, in underdeveloped countries, they don't want they don't want chat gpt, they don't want deep sea, they want their crops to be protected, they want their agriculture to prosper. So the framework should be made in with respect to the demands of the global south. So these are few key issues which India could highlight in this summit. So with this, I hope you had got the basic understanding of the question, why we are discussing it. Now with this, let's try to solve the question here and get more idea about it. Here the question says, consider the following statements regarding the AI summit. The first statement, it says the AI Action Summit is a global initiative focused on forecasting international collaboration on the responsible development and use of artificial intelligence. 100% correct. Second statement, it says the summit primarily addresses the ethical implications of AI, focusing on issues like bias, discrimination, and job displacement. 100% correct. Third statement, the AI summit Action Summit is a legally binding treaty. Totally incorrect. It can't be the legally binding, so this statement is incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1 and statement 2 only. With this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought there. Here, the question is with respect to tariff wars as it is going on between between USA at one side and China, Canada, and Mexico on the other side. The policies which the Trump has brought in, according to the article, that Trump has not studied them properly. Maybe he takes advice from his council or few people who are yes men to him, and whatever they say to him, he believes in that. When he decided to go for the raising the tariffs for particular countries, he did not understood one thing, that his own countrymen are very much dependent on these particular countries. For example, if we will take the example of China, 18% of the 18% of the all imports to US are from China. So 18% of all imports to US are from China. So what do we here understand from this statement? We understand that US is highly dependent on China. So they cannot go for the tariff war against China. They cannot put tariffs on the China. If US will do, China will retaliate to it, as they had retaliated. They had now put 15% tariff on their imports. So what does it impact? It will definitely impact the people who are living in the USA. The things will get costlier for them, and it will definitely impact the living there. So this is one of the issue the author here highlights. And further, the author, basically there was the data given on different imports. The Hindu has given the data, the imports which are in USA, from the import dependence of USA on different countries. For example, with respect to electrical mechanization, the 14.18% imports are from China itself. So with respect to electrical machines. With respect to electrical machines, USA is 14% import dependent on it, and out of this import dependence, 33% is coming from China itself. So you can see how much import dependent are they on the China here with respect to electrical machines. With respect to vehicles, major exports are from Mexico, so definitely they are dependent on Mexico too. And also with respect to nuclear machines, they are also dependent on China. So definitely the data given here shows that the dependence of US on different countries. At the same time, when he will go for these trade wars with them, when he will impose the tariffs without thinking much, what will be the result of that? The result would be they will go for the retaliation, as China is doing. And who are the people which will suffer from this? It would be the people of USA. So what USA should do? The Trump should do one thing, that he should stop drinking alcohol, and he should think that what is good for his people. He should not randomly, on the prospective basis, what he perceives, he should not make the policies on that. He should really think. He should ask some economists of his country what could be the better for his people. So this is a little update over it. This today's newspaper was filled with the data on the import dependence of China, of US, which itself is not that much important for us, but it gives us the idea how countries are dependent, how every policy should be, everything what we do, we should have to consider about the countries which we are trading with. So with this, let's get the idea of this question here. As it is talking about tariff wars, let us know what they are. Here the question says, consider the following statements regarding the tariff wars. Let's understand this word tariff war. First statement: a tariff war occurs when two or more countries impose retaliatory tariffs or other trade restrictions on each other's goods. 100% correct, as it has started between USA and China. Second statement: the primary aim of a country engaging in a tariff war is typically to protect its domestic industries from foreign competition and encourage domestic consumption. 100% correct. Third statement: tariff wars invariably lead to increased global trade and benefit all participating economies in the long run. Totally incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1 and statement 2 only. So with this, I hope we had covered every aspect of the tariff war from last 1 week now. What are the various issues arising from it? What was the issue with the China? What is the issue with the Mexico and Canada? We had discussed everything: the drug trafficking, the national emergency which the Trump has highlighted. Because of those national emergency, he has put these tariff. He has increased the tariffs from those particular countries. So with this, we are sorted with this topic. If any newspaper, any news article would come with respect that, will not take care if anything new is not there. So with this, let's move to the another slide and see what we have brought there. Here the question is with respect to the no confidence motion. Why we had brought this question with respect to no confidence motion? The reason for that is the CM of Manipur, the CM of Manipur, after 2 years of the insurgency is there, after 2 years of disruption in Manipur, he has, the CM of Manipur, he has, what he has done, he has resigned. And the reason given for that was he had lost the support in the assembly there, and most probably the no confidence motion would have been moved against him, then he would have lost very miserably. So here what becomes important for us is, what is this no confidence motion? About no confidence motion, we will understand it through this question and get basic idea what is needed for you in the exam. We will understand that through this question. Here the question says, consider the following statements regarding a no confidence motion in the parliament. First statement: a no confidence motion can be moved only against the PM and not against the Council of Ministers as a whole. Totally incorrect. The no confidence motion is moved against the government, against the Council of Ministers. If the government is not able to defend it, if they lose the no confidence motion, then they have to resign. So first statement is totally incorrect. Second statement, the Constitution of India explicitly mentions the procedure and consequences of a no confidence motion. Totally incorrect. It does not explicitly mention. So that's why we bring these words to you guys. You may assume that it is mentioned in the Constitution. It is the procedure is mentioned in the Constitution very well, but it is not. So it does not explicitly mention the procedure and consequences of a no confidence motion. So statement 2 is incorrect. The Constitution does not explicitly mention. I had given the explanation also here. It says the Constitution does not explicitly mention the procedure or consequences of a no confidence motion. It's a parliamentary convention derived from British parliamentary practice and is governed by the rules of procedure of the Lok Sabha. So this is the explanation of the option 2. So option 2 is also incorrect. Third option, it says if a no confidence motion is passed in the Lok Sabha, the government must resign. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct answer is option B only. With this, we are done with today's news articles, today's current affairs questions. I hope I was able to make you understand every topic properly. If there is any confusion, please do write in the comments. We'll try our best to clear that. With this, let's move to the another part of our discussion where we will solve the static part questions. Here today's static part question is basically about the presidential power. Currently we are discussing the power of the president. Currently we had discussed the executive, the mercy powers, the judicial powers. We had discussed everything about the office of the president. So currently, right now we are discussing the legislative powers of the president. We are very much close to complete the discussion of the office of the president. As we are discussing the legislative powers of the president, there is one important term which is talked about, which is joint session of a parliament, joint session of a parliament. And it is the president, in case of a disagreement, if there is disagreement between the houses of the parliament in respect of every financial year, if in case of disagreement between the two houses on bill other than money or constitutional bill, amendment bill, if there is disagreement between the two houses of the parliament, which is Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha, then to break the deadlock, the president can call for the joint sitting to break the deadlock. And what kind of the bills are those on which the joint sitting can't be held? If it is money bill, no joint sitting. If it is constitutional amendment bill, then for this also there is no joint sitting. These things, please do remember that. These are few catches which can be asked in the exam. It is only for the, only for the ordinary bill you can ask for the joint sitting. For the money bill and the constitutional amendment bill, there is no joint sitting, and it is the president who calls for it. So with this, let's try to answer this question and get more idea about it. Here the question says, consider the following statements regarding the president's powers to call a joint sitting of both houses of the parliament. First statement, the president can summon a joint sitting of the Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha to resolve a deadlock of any type of bill. Totally incorrect, because it talks about any type of the bill. Here you should know that for the money bill and constitutional amendment bill, he can't call for the joint sittings. So first statement is incorrect. Second statement, the decision to call a joint sitting rests solely with the president, and the president is not bound by the advice of the council of ministers in this regard. Totally incorrect. He is very much bound with this also. Third statement, a joint sitting can be called even if the Lok Sabha has been dissolved, provided the bill in the question was passed by the Raj Sabha before the dissolution. 100% correct. If for example if the Lok Sabha is dissolved and the bill has been passed by the Raj Sabha before the dissolution of the Lok Sabha, then the joint sitting can be called even if the Lok Sabha has been dissolved. So third statement is correct. So with respect to this question, what is the correct option? Correct option would be option B, which is 3 only. With this, I hope you had got the basic understanding about the joint sitting, also how president enjoys this power, how he calls for the joint sitting if there is any deadlock in the ordinary bill. You should understand that, you should remember that money bill and the constitutional amendment bill, for those bills president can't ask for the joint sitting. So with this, let's move to the last part of our discussion where we will solve a previous year question. As here this question was asked in 2011. This question gives us the idea about the composition of atmosphere in different layers, troposphere, stratosphere. What is the composition of the atmosphere. So this, if we have this idea, if we have the idea about the vertical composition of the atmosphere, then we can easily answer this question. So let's see what does the question say. The question says the jet aircrafts fly very easily and smoothly in the lower stratosphere. What could be the appropriate explanation? First statement, there are no clouds or water vapor in the lower stratosphere. You know, if we will analyze this statement, it is 90% correct statement. Why? In the lower stratosphere, there, because of low, very low water vapor and very less clouds, there is smooth fly, jet aircrafts fly very easily and smoothly in the lower stratosphere because of the less amount of clouds and very less amount of water vapor. So this statement is 90% correct. Why I'm saying 90% correct? Because there are some times when we can find clouds, very less clouds there, but majorly the reason is this because there is very less amount of clouds to avoid the turbulence. That's why it flows easily and smoothly in the lower stratosphere. So we can say this statement is correct. Second statement, there are no vertical winds in the lower stratosphere. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, both statements are correct. So with this, we complete today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope I was able to make you understand every concept which we discussed here. If there is any confusion, please do write in the comments. With this, I would like to thank you guys. I hope you stay well and you do best in the exams. Thank you very much and best of luck.